for example, performing.
Right.
What makes a great performer is the desire to want to be seen. But the desire to want to be seen is because in life you're not seen. You don't feel seen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So to be hard on yourself is also to push yourself in such a way because of how maybe, yes, that's how you feel about yourself. And it may be negative,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it's also what makes you great at what you do because you're pushing yourself. So and that's a
Yeah.
weird relationship. And so I have this fascination with, I guess you could say, creative process or just the craft, like in any form of art. Like how was it developed? How did somebody come to their perspectives or their approach to their artistry? Um,
Okay.
I'm so fascinated by it. Um, so I just like to kind of talk about the journey more
Hmm.
than anything, just really why do you think the way you think and why do you move the way that you move or in any artistry really. So that's what we're going to cover. Nothing too crazy. Don't gotta overthink it or underthink it. We're just gonna chat.
Yeah, for
That's it.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hold on, let me get this. How do you feel with how do you feel with the release of the video?
Oh man, well, we shot the video like for some reason, what, like last year, October?
I
What
think so, yeah.
I feel like, yeah, and I feel like my life was so different in October to January now.
Okay.
So I think that watching it back, I'm like, oh wow, I remember that day, and I remember how tired. I did a sunrise shoot the day before that too on the beach.
Right.
So it was like a whole sunrise weekend. I remember being so tired, like I was so tired, but like I just remember how different my life was then and how like a couple months go by and you don't think that way. But like it's different. It's better. Like I'm in a better place than I was
Well, that's
in
interesting.
October.
If you don't mind me
And
asking, when you say better, what was at least in that time frame, where was your mind at in that
um
I mean, that's only a couple months ago, which is crazy to think of how it
right,
can change in a couple months, right?
for sure. I mean, I was, it's always like seasons, you know. I feel like as people, we go through seasons, we go through stressful situations. I also feel like, you know, I'm a young mother, so I think Audrey, my daughter, might have been sick at the time, and anytime like your child is sick, you feel so heavy and you feel so bad and you just want to take it all from them. So it was just like a part of a season that was very stressful, very fearful of the future-esque.
Mm.
And then it's like you feel like the world's gonna end, or you feel like what how am I gonna go on, or how am I gonna keep moving forward in a positive atmosphere? Like
Right.
the world is done type of thing. But here I am a couple months later. Great.
Right, right, right.
So
How old is your daughter now?
my daughter's 2. She's 3
Oh,
at the end of July. I know, isn't it?
yeah. Crazy.
It's very crazy, but it's the best thing in the world, hands down,
Oh
being a
man.
mom. Yeah.
I'm glad that you
Yeah.
that you feel that way. That's cool. I
Thank
also find
you.
it interesting too in our world as far as performing artists as dancers, the I don't want to say the encouragement, but the idea of starting a family as a dancer,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that lifestyle or in that pursuit, it's not always as encouraging, right?
Right.
To do that. So anyone I feel that takes that on or kind of brings their own bravery forward, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, absolutely.
how did I mean before we get into all the other conversation,
Hmm.
how did you feel about being in that aspect of your life in artistry and then having and starting a family?
Oh, excuse me. Well, to start off, I was kind of raised, or not raised because my mother wasn't there, but the way I was growing up, I felt like having a baby was not bad, but very scary,
Hmm.
very wrong. Don't have a child. Your life is going to be over. You're never going to dance again.
Oh,
And growing up when I was young, it was very scary, and I never thought about having children. You know, it was always forced with dance and dance, 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 dance. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified.
Mm,
I definitely wasn't like joyed. I was very scared. I said, "Oh no." Like those were my first words. It's sad. But luckily my husband just smiled and just wrapped me up and made me feel the first feeling of safetiness when
mm,
it came to that subject.
nice.
Um,
That's
and then it kind of just sat with me. That's like, all right, like this is actually great. Like I am in a good place. I am taking care of myself. I do have my home. I have my income. I can do this,
right.
and I was someone that didn't want a baby. I did not want a child because I teach children and I have so many people and connections with children. But as soon as I had my kids and she was put on my chest, I say this every time, I was born to be a mom.
Mm,
My purpose was to be a mother for my baby. And she's sunshine, rainbows, and cupcakes and in a human form. It's just I love it. I love it. So yeah, being and b right after I had my daughter, I sat in the bed after I was a C-section mommy, and I remember just sitting there and I couldn't feel my core.
right.
And I'm like, am I gonna dance again? Am I
Mm,
gonna were the theories right that I wasn't gonna dance again? I can't feel myself, and I felt heavy. I gained a lot of weight, as naturally you do when you have a baby. Hello.
right.
And for some reason, just 3 months later, after a good friend of mine hit me up and she's like, just come back. You don't have to go full out on the floor because I was terrified I was going to be ripped open, but I went back and then the music just swam through me and I'm like, I can do this. And it just took little steps, literally like the turtle and the rabbit. You know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go slow and you'll go farther, then stay together. And
Right.
it wasn't just myself that like recovered that. And it wasn't easy. It was very scary. But I went back and I'm glad I did. Because now here I am, like
Right.
full legs and I'm backing and stuff. And I'm just like, wow, like I thought watching the video, I'm like, bro, like I thought I was not gonna return back to dance. And watching this video that you released and we did, I was like crying and my husband teared up too because I'm just so proud of how far I've come from something like giving birth to a human, becoming a mother, shape-shifting myself into further responsibilities while keeping the elements and the seasons and the things what Shy, the dancer, does.
Mm,
You know, it was just it blew me out of the water watching it. And I'm just, yeah, being a mom in parenthood and dance is like so hard, but
right.
it fits in.
Isn't it crazy how your intention towards what you do does change when you have a kid?
Yes.
You know, there's
Yes.
it's like it's expression, it's self-expression, but there's now like another bubble in your own bubble that you now have to take care of and worry about that becomes a huge part of you. And now that expression is
Hmm.
completely different and yet still the same as you were, just much, much bigger.
It's like, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's like a superpower.
Right.
I felt like I had fire under my feet.
Hmm.
I felt like I could just Hulk jump onto a freaking skyscraper a couple months after I had my kid and I was dancing and I'm just looking at myself, but I'm just like, bro, like you don't understand what I had to go through. And no one prepares you for that.
Right.
Nobody prepared me to be like, hey, by the way, you think you love like your life and your husband and your dog and your whatever until you have your own.
Hmm.
Like, there's just nothing like it. There's nothing I could say, but just the fact of true like love for my little heartbeat, this thing I gotta like keep alive every day. I gotta
Right.
she's talking to me now and she's holding the chair into the kitchen and trying to get things herself. And I'm like, I grew that and it oh my gosh. It's it blows my mind, and I'm very like I'm very humorous. I'm very morbid sometimes with my thoughts, but it's all just like how I think. So
Uh,
nothing I hope will take it to like offense of that. But
no, I get it. How long
yeah.
how long have you been dancing?
5 years old and I'm 26. I just asked my husband the calculation of that. But since I was 5 years old and
Hmm.
I'm 26 now, so maybe like you can
Yeah,
figure that out. It's
yeah. That's not my thing either, but I get it.
no, no, no.
Wh-
But since I was 5 years old, so a very long time.
when was that? Can you remember the spark of inspiration?
Yes.
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 What was it?
Yes, I do. Okay, so I remember my first dance class, it was a hip hop class with like maybe 8 to 10 year olds, and I was like a little 5 year old.
Where was it?
And it was at Dynasty Dance,
Oh, snap. I know
locate
that place. Okay.
yes, my teacher was Mr. Al. What's his last name? Doesn't matter. Mr. Al. And we did That's the Joint, That's the Jam. My first ever Turn It Up and Play It Again. I'd like to what
Hey.
like it was blue and it was mesh white. Like I remember it all. And the reason I was put into dance was it's sad, but it helped the flower grow. But my house, when I was 5 years old, my house burned down. It caught
Mm.
on fire from the water heater. So my parents wanted to find a distraction or some type of form I can cling on to, like an activity, a hobby. They gave me so
Oh,
much things, and dance was it. And I took a hip hop class, and then the next year I took tap, jazz, and ballet, and then I went on company, and then it just skyrocketed at 5, and here I am
wow.
adulting.
So
Yeah.
you're technically trained in various areas of movement. What would you say
Yes.
would be your like the areas of focus for you, like for
Oh.
years? Maybe not necessarily where you are right now, but like for years
Mhm.
I trained here.
Well, for years I trained in like a dance studio recital aspect, and then they'll have a private company for dance competitions.
Hmm.
And your main curriculum, I mean, from at least when I started at 6, 7 years old, was ballet and point. And then going all the way up till graduation into any studio that I could find. Maybe a little after 18 too. I was still in some ballet classes, but right now, ballet has kind of drawn a little bit away from me. But of course, I still keep my technicality, my pointed feet, have a straight leg, pull up in a turn, or add a little funk to it. But I still, that will stick with me forever. Ballet technique was something that Cheyenne didn't like very much either. But I would just be at the bar, just being so dramatic and dancing through everything while everyone's like, the whole classic do 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 do. But Cheyenne's reaching and dancing with her chest, and sometimes I get in trouble for it. Like Cheyenne, too much. Just stick with the form, stick with that, and yeah, it was always ballet. That's something that stuck with me. And then once I turned 18, I started or 16, I started kind of battling and then getting into that, all of that stuff. I
Interesting.
wanted to make sure. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that there's like a technical background that you have. I mean,
Yes, thank you.
Uh, I think one of the most intriguing things about your work is so as a freestyle dancer, I'm always drawn to people that live in a moment, you know.
Mhm.
But when you live in a moment and then you kind of tilt your head and go, oh, they're trained. Like they got like
Yeah.
they got education behind them, right? And I don't mean that in just a formal sense, but there's a sense of training within that. When do you feel for you like freestyle came into your life?
Oh. Okay. Well, I think it was improv
Hmm.
in my studio life. And
Okay.
then as I grew up and went into the urban scene more, that's when I learned freestyle was like, hey, ho, cross, kick, step, touch, like hip hop
Right.
slang versus contemporary modern, which is like improvisation.
Right.
And right. And I would say like 10 years old, 9 years old, I I was going. it's a sad story again. But listen, that's how the flowers grow
No,
sometimes
it's all
for
good.
some people to come through the concrete.
It's your journey. It's cool.
Yes, it's always the sad story, but listen, like it's real and it happens, you know? Um, I was living with my father at the time, and he pretty much just wanted for me to make money.
Hmm.
And he was very supportive of my dancing, very corrective, very articulate with what I would wear, with what I would eat. My privates, he homeschooled me, so I had more time at the studio starting at 3 o'clock to 9:30 at night. You know, I had three solos and all of this stuff, but improv was something that I could say with my body versus telling someone what's happening at home.
Hmm.
And it was used as a form of distraction. Improv was used as a form for me at a young age of a cry for help,
Hmm.
maybe sometimes. You know, I would dance to those sad songs and relate that character to my father. And um, I always forgave my father for everything. And sometimes, like, I think about it now because I'm a mother now. It breaks my heart into two that I wish things were different, but I tried my best to just be so loving and be supportive of my father and his wants and his needs and impress my parent, like, but once I realized that it was no good, it was no good. But improv always stands as I can play this song and not say a word, but you'll think I wrote that song.
Hmm.
And every song I'll ever dance to, everything I'll ever put out, I have to find something from my stories. Like, like Inside Out, where like Joy picks up the balls and they have these memory balls and she puts them in the girl's view, Riley's view, and you see the memory. And that's like what I do to this day. Like I still have so many more things and so many more stories to tell. And now that I'm growing, I have more books piled on top, you know? And improv sort of was also something that I was bullied for when
Hmm.
I was younger. I was the homeschool kid. I never went to the performing arts school. And I feel a lot of eyes were judging me, but I was very good at it. And I feel like that might have been very defeating and intimidating. And when you're with a group of teenage girls,
Right.
it can be very hard to feel misplaced. And also, I'm dealing with stuff at home, and then I'm dealing stuff with here. And it was like I'm holding my tongue back, not trying to comment about what's going on at home. So whenever my teacher Ricardo Penna would say, "All right, let's improv," like I would just rip it, roll it, and punch it unapologetically. And then before classes, I'll go in the studio and ask my teacher, "Can I improv?" And I'll play three tracks and I record them. And then I started recording when I was 10 or 11, 12, and watching myself improv. And then I'm like, wow, this looks like choreography. I think I can roll with this. 16 dance competition, no more choreographed solo. Hand my teacher my track. I cut it myself at the competition. I it just skyrocketed, and I realized that my improv is rare, my improv is a gift, and my improv is almost like my second soul, my second voice to say things unapologetically versus me talking about it because I have anxiety and I'm like, oh my God, watch what you say. But if I play a song, like I don't have to be like, watch what you say because this is the story and it's accepted. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that
No,
make sense?
no, absolutely. I
I
mean,
love improv. I
my
love the improv.
my life is freestyle art, so improvisational
Yeah.
approach to things is just lights me up. So I completely get it.
Yeah.
I'm curious
Yeah.
because you are a choreographer. How does
Yes.
improv play into your creative process to create a choreography or to
Improv.
teach it? How does that play or are they completely separate?
Okay. I've never been asked that before. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, maybe it is separate.
Hmm.
But if I'm creating to the song, the first creative process is a song I have pastly improved to.
Hmm.
So that'll come up into my mind and be like, oh my God, I improv to that. And I really felt something. Let me see if I can create a piece to it. And then sometimes I'll improv, record, learn, teach. Or sometimes I'm like, yo, this song is banging. Let me do an improv. Okay, now let me try to remember that. Improv, hand.
Right.
Okay, now let me try it again. Ta ta ka ka through. Okay, that was improv, but it's like screen record, but
Right.
dancer version,
Right. I get you.
improv version. But yeah, the best I can relate to that is putting my brain on screen record when I'm improving to choreograph and then play back. And then that's how my choreography gets out there. And then, of course, there's like the editing and things like that where I'm like, all right, that's a little too fruity. Let's try to make it more clean so the dancers will look more like a unison and things like that. But
Right.
the improv is like screen record,
Right.
but I don't have screen records all the time. Like our video was not screen recorded.
Right.
Like I don't remember anything I kind of did at all.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, screen record, not screen record.
It's so
That's how I
interesting.
can.
It's interesting to hear you say that because okay, I have I guess you could say a theory, but it's not really a
Mhm.
theory. But in hip hop, one of the things, especially as a breaker, there's this put your camera down, film yourself, and then go back and look at your footage and okay, I could adjust this. I could put this move with this move. And that's essentially a creative process, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it sounds very similar to how you're talking about how you make your choreographed pieces. And
right.
what's interesting is th- I look at that as like its own genre of filmmaking, right?
Okay, word, yeah.
Which is so when we filmed the piece in Fort Lauderdale Beach, I was handheld, but my favorite shot is my phone on the floor of this
Mm.
wide shot of you. And what's good about what I love about it is that there's space for you to move and it's capturing it. And it really feels like, oh, that phone was there. I didn't even know that phone was there. Because
Yeah,
that's
now I'm
how
remembering.
right.
Yeah,
That's how I film my practices. That's how I film my own creative process.
yeah,
So it's a very similar idea when you say you're screen recording, right? I think that's so
yeah, screen
cool.
recording.
Okay, so we have choreography, we have freestyle. One of the things that I'm curious of is you mentioned these kind of core memories, right? That kind of
Yeah,
like from inside out. What are
yeah.
some core memories for you that maybe I call them the dotted line, right? Like I remember going here and this brought me to this perspective and then that took me over here. Can you kind of bring up some core memories of those dotted lines in your journey?
Okay. Excuse my cough.
No, it's good.
Um, like my core memories of dance journey of where I am like today, like if I were to timeline 10 years back
Yeah, let's
or
do.
like,
Oh, ooh, this is fun. We could do it a couple ways, but okay. Hmm.
okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So I
Okay.
got a lot.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's do a fast forward into. Okay. When do you feel was the age or the time where you're like, I'm going to discover shy? Like when was
Okay.
that
I
space?
graduated high school.
Okay. So high school.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
from high school, we catapult out of high school. What's the first dot? And that dot is like, I remember going here and I learned this and that changed how, you know what I mean? So let's do three
For
dots.
sure.
There to the next dot to the next dot.
Well, after high school, I had a lot more free time.
Okay.
And I got a 9 to 5 with my mother and sister's company. And that started rooting for I would work 9 to 5, but I always had my headphones on.
Mm,
I was like almost like a Peter Parker character where I'm just like down in my music or Miles Morales almost. There you go. Not
right.
Peter Parker, Miles Morales. I'm just listening to 80s, 50s, 60s, getting inspirations of choreography here and there. I'm talking like every single genre of music that I could find in a Spotify and I would just explore. And then I got a substitute job to try out at a studio and um they wanted me to teach more there. They loved me. So I stuck in a studio atmosphere and I started to become a teacher.
Mm,
And when I started to really get opportunities to teach and choreograph, it started to make it inspired and create more fireworks that I could pull out my books on the shelf and be like, all right, I'm gonna dance about this story, choreograph it here, put it out in public on a stage here, and have judges or whoever listen. And that went on for a couple years. Um, and then just people just found interest in me through medias. I remember I would post so much improv. I would just record myself improving late at night. I didn't have time to train and take studio classes because I was teaching so much. So me and my good friend Abby, she would stay with me because I call them dance ghosts. I can't like be in a studio by myself,
Hmm,
like because I feel like I have dance ghosts watching me,
I
and
get
I'm
it.
so I'm like, can you just like sit there like a human form? And I just remember just training myself by myself in the studios, and um, I was there for a good 7 years, and I got gigs outside of things like dancing for celebrities. Or I remember also when I graduated, when it comes to mind, like a core memory, especially with you, I don't know if you remember this. The farthest I've gotten in a battle, like a really good one, was at Euphoria. Core memory. When I think of you, this is like the first thing I think of, and I have it on video.
No
I
way.
went to you in top four, and it was the craziest track. It was against you, and I needed new underwear because I could not believe I was going against this man that can spin like an egg. Like, what am I gonna pull out? And I was so young and my hair was down, and I remember entering the circle and how I did it, and that was like it. But
Is this
that
Deep Sensations? Was that?
it might have been. It might have been the first Deep Sensations. I just remember top four, and you tapped me. I got out, but like that's how I kind of remember you. And then
I'm a part
this,
of your core memories of
not only
God.
that, but your wife
Oh,
taught me as well when I was 14, six, like not even 13 to 14-ish
what
at
studio
a
was that?
studio, Performers Edge 2. She
Wow.
taught a lot of hip hop, and she taught to a song that was a very depressing song. It was like a hip hoppy depressing song, but I will never forget it. And she did it anyway. She danced to two songs that I loved and I requested for her, and she choreographed to two of them. And it was like an intermediate hip hop, but of course Shine's jumping in.
Yeah.
And that's a core memory. Like when it comes to you, dance core memories, they honestly root at Euphoria, where
Mm,
I started graduating and I was going to all the battles, and I'm taking Ralph Cummings's class on Thursday nights and
mm.
trying to get select groups, and Malu's Hughes class, and Nicole Sink had contemporary, and she got so many opportunities, and she passed that class on to me, and then I started teaching at Euphoria at a young age, and Adri, who was just my sensei,
Mm.
and then it was like it still was, and even if it was to this day, core memory. Every time I would open up the studio door, it was like Alice in Wonderland going down the rabbit hole, and I'm in Wonderland
Oh man.
because the music was pumping, the bass was on the walls, my hair was standing up, and the lights, and everyone's smiling. And I have dreamed of walking into a place where I open the door and everyone's just dancing around. And it's like this is real. Like this is life. Like this that's just Cheyenne core memory, like drums, Euphoria battles. Like it was just home.
Mm.
And I would train and dig so deep into those, and then I'd gain so much. Like Floor Trouble, they would challenge me and do back to backs. I go, they go, and I remember I couldn't breathe. But like that don't matter in a battle. You got to just go and punch it out and whip it out. And like there's a lot of core memories that are happy.
Right.
Now that I'm realizing there are a lot of happy things, but I had to go through those heavy things to
Right, right, right.
be in these happy, like independent things, you know?
I love that journey that you have such a technical background, a studio as an educator, and then you're a product of community, right?
Uh,
And when you think about what Euphoria brought to the community in so many ways, is an exposure to various cultures, an exposure
yeah.
various perspectives. And it was also just a home for people to venture off into those different trains of thoughts. And I love that I could see in your movement, in your art form, that you are a hybrid of sort. You are not a specifically I am this or I am that. You are a culmination of ideas, and it's completely shy. It's you,
Thank you.
right? And
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
that's
Yeah.
really important as a as an artist, that when you look at your work, or somebody else looks at your work, they can say, I don't have a category to put it in, you know? I call it like
Thank you.
the head tilt styles, the styles that make you go, I don't know where that fits. It's like a rare song that you just can't, I don't know where playlist to put this in. It kind of
Right.
fits in a bunch of playlists,
You
but
put them in all of
I love this
them.
song, and it can go in a
Yeah,
bunch. And that's how I
that's
look at
so
your work,
fun.
and it's really
Thank
cool.
you. Yes,
Um,
thank you.
okay, so on an individual, oh, this one's deep. Okay,
Okay.
on an individual level, meaning like people, and they could be people I know, or sorry, people that maybe we know, or maybe I don't know at all, but some core inspirations. And just to give you like an example, right? Like I I get a lot of my movements from Naruto, like the anime, right?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
like my concept. It's very ninja-esque. But then on like a
Mm,
real person level, there's certain people in my life that I say, oh, I've gotten those movements from X Fiends in Long Island, New York,
right.
or being friends with John Boogs and having
Mm,
a funk perspective in my life where
mhm.
I'm moving differently because he's in my life, right? So
Right.
like, what are some of those core influences for you on an individual level, or maybe even some fictional other things that you can say this is definitely
Oh my God. I want to sit here all night. I'm going to sit here all night. Okay. And this is my language, though. You're speaking my language because I am a cinema girl. So I love movies. I love certain producers. My husband and I are into that. That's one thing that we kind of touch on a lot of. So we're gonna watch Batman. Which director? We're
right.
gonna watch so we're definitely in on that. I'd say a fictional character, I'll start there. One that's stuck with me forever and ever and ever is the Joker from
Mm,
Batman.
interesting. Explain.
Right. So I just, well, it sparked when like Suicide Squad movie came out and how he was just die hard in love with Harley Quinn and how she was just so obeying to just jump for him. Um, and it was kind of a strength to have control over a person. That's something that I experienced when I was young. So I kind of have that bit of a Joker. Now there's a lot of Jokers here, but I think his name is, I might butcher it. God, help me. Is it Jaquan Phoenix? Phone?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you know
Okay,
what I'm
yeah.
talking about? When that Joker came out, I actually did a showcase to one of the songs from the soundtrack at drums and improv. I have it on video.
You did that at
And
drums?
I did. I
Oh
did
my
it at
God.
drums. I dyed my hair like a couple hours before because I was so into this character. I even kind of got so deep into my own reality of this perspective of how Jaquan's Joker was that he had this disability
I
and
think it's
people,
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin,
Joaquin.
thank you, Joaquin. I call him Jaquan, Jesus.
Jaquan.
Like, it's my version of it,
No,
but
you keep your version.
thank you. Period. I just fell in love with the fact that he had this mental illness and this disability, and it dragged him down to where he just created this own parallel reality of thinking that these things happen and they didn't. And one day he just pops off, and you can never guess what the Joker's gonna kind of do next. He
Hmm.
has no mercy. He does gruesome things, and when I was about 4 years backish, I felt kind of evil to my own self. I was just lost, like mentally lost. I went into a behavior health center. I was locked in there, locked. It was like locked in there for a good like week. I spent New Year's by myself just in this hospital, and I felt I did ballet every morning. But I just feel this other side of a card in my life as my personality, as myself. Like you turn the card around and it's a joker. People throw the joker away in the deck, but the joker is what entertained the queen back in the day. She'd call us in, we do a little dance for her, we entertain her. She's like, okay, I'm done, had enough. And then you go.
Right.
That was dancing entertainment. Like, I don't even know yet. Renaissance?
Right.
So that's like kind of a theory of mine. Like, let me entertain you and then you can just throw me in the trash, but just watch and let me just change your life for 1 second.
Wow.
And then there's also the aggressive side of me
Hmm.
where maybe it's a little rude, maybe it's a little selfish, maybe it's a little mentally ill, maybe it's a little bit of depression, maybe it's a little bit of I'm still struggling with that other half of my card, like my Joker face,
Hmm.
and then my real person. It's very deep. It's very deep. I'm a very deep person, but I can't help
I
it.
love it.
Um, that's reality. That's the fictional. I always go by a Joker character of just that smile, and you're like, you don't know what I'm about to do, and then when I do
Right.
it, you're just like wow, you don't expect
Right.
it.
That goes back to the rare
Um,
card thing. That it doesn't fit in a
right.
suit, but it
Yeah, yeah,
also
yeah.
can fit anywhere.
Yes. So it's Joker, like Joker all the way. I love the laugh. I love the evilness. I love how he plays these games and I love how he's winning and it's just great. And then of course Walt Disney, that's
Hmm.
another totally different. But Walt Disney, I go to Disney World, I take my daughter to Disney World. I'm a Disney girl, I'm a Disney woman, whatever. I'm proud of it. Okay.
Own it.
But Walt Disney says keep moving forward no matter what, you keep moving forward. Dreams can come true,
Right.
and they can because I was 10 years old and I said, I want to be a choreographer in the education system. And now, 10 years later, I got that. And
Mhm.
I'm like, listen, bottom line, my younger self would be so proud of me. So Walt Disney and Disney World did such a number on me to just keep being me, be the funny self you are, do adult things but still be a child, um human people,
Hmm.
real people.
Real
Well, Walt
people.
Disney's real, but um um in my atmosphere around me, um we have like my bosses of, well, I don't like to say bosses, but directors. We have his name is Kenneth Fowler.
Hmm.
He does Loud Life Productions and he took me
Yes.
under his wing
Oh.
for a good 4 to 5 years and gives me gives me like, here, take this, and here's the song. Sometimes he says here's the song, but he just gives me this outlet to say, I'll make it come to life. What do you need?
Hmm.
And I'll say, well, I want to do this song. Done. What do you need? Like he 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 just gives me so much support to make my stories, my choreography come out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, we got like Mika Santos. She's a teacher at Ballet Elite. Nat Brum is the owner, known her for years. Such a supportive atmosphere there. And Mika is the one that brought me back to dance after I had my child.
Hmm.
And she really just put a lot of belief in me and hope that I'm always going to be what I am. Um, Urban atmosphere, we have like every single person. Um, my first thoughts are Twan.
Hmm.
T-Motion has always been my boy. He's always been just that one that'll look at me and say, mm-hmm. Like, yes, like you are here, you are accepted. And I've known him for years.
What is it about
Um,
Twan's movements that, move you or inspire you?
oh my gosh, the first thought just now was his chin. Like he will dance with this energy,
Hmm.
and even if his chin will go down, like his linears are just there. And then even when he lets it go, like it's just all in this energy area, which
Hmm.
is something that I don't use. And
Right.
I couldn't. I'm not chiseled. And I'm just saying, like, just looking at the art of his emotion and his persona, oh, it blows me out of the water. And I've always tried to catch on to that. And he's also, I feel like someone you can't like place somewhere because he's got all the foundations, but um maybe not so much studio foundation like I do. But it's
Mhm.
like me, but like
Right.
outside of it, you know, and he's great. He's freaking awesome. And yeah, him gosh, I mean, it's all my euphorians.
Mm.
All of my euphoria friends. We got Ben, we got Hollywood, we got Ralph, we got you, we got Iota. Iota was just grandpa for me. Like he said, but he was someone. He's a waiver. Okay, like he don't do plie grand plie porter bras soutenu leap. Like he don't do that. So and Hart as well. Like both of them were really just a crumper and a waiver appreciated the ballerina contemporary heartfelt movement that I did.
Right.
And then that kind of exploded my rainbows to extend to the other clouds to be like, I can do a little crump. Yes, I can. Maybe not like a whole minute on a round, but I know a little something, you know, from heart.
Right.
And then iota, I can learn how to control my movements through my shoulders into my arms like a waver, maybe not for a whole battle, but I can whip something out if I have to. And they just grasped onto me and I grasped onto them. And then it's like you said, like connect the dot there. Okay, great. Now connect the dot there. We got Tivon or T back in the
Mhm.
day. He was such a big mentor, especially hip hop, but he had these he was a rap hip hopper. Like, I mean, you know T, and he would play the music that I danced to if I were to lift a leg or do some cracking or some flexibility, whatever you want to see. But he did hip hop to it. And then boom, we connected because he's a storyteller and he's a hip hopper and I'm a storyteller and I'm a foundational dancer. Let me try to get a few things from T that I can incorporate into my movement. And then I started molding. The clay started moving. We started kneading. And then it became I can switch to this, but I can also switch to this.
Right.
And yeah, I feel like I'm just a whole bunch of people. My choreographers when I was younger, my teachers that I trained under for years, ballerinas, hip hoppers, crumpers, they all just like a feather, it just poked out of my skin and now there it is.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
What is it that you
Yeah.
think that makes you so open to the various languages of movement? You know, not everybody approaches their work with an openness to not just culture, but just I guess you could say theories of movement too. What is it for you that why you want to and always are very open?
I want to speak their language.
Mm,
So not only do I want to put that in my pocket for when an opponent wants to come and try me, but I also want to put it in my other pocket to be like, okay, if I ever session with like you, right? And you're whipping out your Ninja Turtle moves, but you'll also hit like a little house break,
hmm.
right? I can speak house. So
Right.
I'll kind of react with you on that house level, but then start whipping out a little pointed toe. But like that's the language that I'll speak and
Mm,
reply to you on. So you can also be like, oh, okay, she's got some different moves. Oh, house. Oh, she's jacking. Oh, okay, like I see that. And it starts to interpret, like Google Translate.
no, I get you.
Um,
Yeah,
and then like I
I always
said, I
tell
like to put them in my
people
pocket.
I always tell people like as a b-boy, no matter what genre that I go into, I'll
Hmm.
always have a b-boy accent. It will
Yeah.
always be there, no matter how
Yeah.
you'll always see it. Whether you
Yeah.
agree or disagree that it is or that it isn't. For me, I'm like, no, that's from that area, and I assume it's the
Right.
same for you. Like, there's certain areas, even if you go into another territory of movement, you're still like, no, that's an accent right there. That's
Yeah.
like a way back 5-year-old shy right there.
For sure. Yeah. And then I just thought of another character that I lived throughout, which kudos to my husband for showing me,
Mm-hmm.
maybe like 16, Harry Potter.
Mm. Explain.
I have a nickname for myself as Shy Potter, the girl who lived. And I kind of use that hashtag sometimes with some of my little improvs and videos because when I hashtag the girl who lived, that was my inspo behind it.
Hmm.
You know, I wasn't Harry Potter. I wasn't treated like Harry Potter. Okay, I didn't
Right,
live in
right.
an attic or whatever. But I felt abused. I felt um just treated horribly, you know, in my father's household sometimes. I was thankful, you know, because he was paying for my dance and etc. But it was just I just was not, I was just lonely. I
Hmm.
didn't have a friend. I would try to make friends in the studio and they only a few would be with me, but the girls that I wanted to hang out with, they just weren't going to be my friend because I was a weirdo. I didn't go to their school
Hmm.
and I just felt like giving up so many times. I wanted to just die. Like I
Hmm.
just wanted to end it. So then when my husband showed me the Harry Potter series, I'm like, this has been around my whole life
Hmm.
because I can relate to Harry on a level of someone coming to save him and
Hmm.
saying, hey, you're unique because of this. Let me take you away on this magic train to this amazing school where everybody's like that.
Hmm.
But there's enemies and there's going to be villains. But just that, and that's why I would go to theme parks like Disney World or Universal with my husband when we were young. I would go to Universal two, three times a month just so I can just feel that feeling of being a wizard, you know.
What
And
house would you be in?
oh, I'm a Gryffindor. I am a Gryffindor. My husband, Brett, he is a Slytherin.
Okay.
My daughter, Slytherin. So we're here. We're here. But I'm definitely 100% Gryffindor. And Audrey chose the green when she was a kid. We did it when she was a kid. When she was a baby, we did it. I'm just the passionate one and they're just Slytherin. Like,
I'm either Slytherin or Ravenclaw. I'm unsure to be honest with you.
I see that. I
Yeah.
see that. 100%. I'm a weirdo, sorry. But yeah, Harry Potter was one of them. And then I wanted to also share a memory with you, a core
Oh
memory.
yes, absolutely.
We did the hat shoot, which are like the photos I share everywhere. I had a
Yeah.
hat, we were in this woods,
Yeah, yeah,
and I was
yeah.
in the oh, you told me about a lotus flower. And a
Mm.
lotus flower was something that like grows in the swamp, but something beautiful comes out of it.
Right.
Well, I got a lotus flower
Oh my God.
on me after that. Because when you told me that, I swear it was like turning a generator on that never turned off.
Oh wow.
Because now I'm like, it's okay to have these sad stories and it's okay to have these traumas because something beautiful grew out of that swamp. So
Hmm.
all of this dirt and the blackness and the disgusting smells and all of that grows this amazing, beautiful flower. Like, okay, thank you so much. Getting that tattooed so I have it forever. And um it's a top favorite for public and people. Like, what is it? It's a lotus flower. Explain the story. And they're like, wow, makes sense. So yeah, that's another thing I wanted to tag in on there because I didn't
Good.
think you know that.
No, I didn't. My good friend Fernando is the one that shared that
Mm,
thought to me.
I know
Which
him.
it's always an interesting how that flower only grows in a swamp, right?
Yes.
And that flower is recognized as like a symbol of peace or inner peace, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
Just that relationship I think is interesting. I am
Yeah.
uh
Yes.
I mean I knew, but I don't think I actually translated so much. Um your time and your experience at drums. How
Oh,
what I don't want to say like explain the whole thing, but where how did that have an effect on your craft or your journey?
excuse me. I'm getting it. Okay, so my friend Nicole Sink, I think that's how you say her name. I suck at names and
No,
I'm
no, yeah.
nervous, so I hope to God I don't butcher it, but Nicole, we'll say Nicole.
Yeah.
Um, she was my contemporary mentor.
Mhm.
And she's the one that told me to like go battle. And then once I started battling, I saw all these grown men, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm dancing against these grown men and I'm beating them. Like, what's going on? Iota was my first opponent in a battle, and we danced to Michael Jackson. It was a Michael Jackson battle. And watching their faces, they knew me, they wanted to get to know me more. And when I went to drums, it was my experience with drums, like I got there because of Twan and Rogue, like they were my friends and such. But there was something about this community that wasn't like the dance competition and the ballet classes. Like they really put energy into me of saying like, yo, you are a sick dancer. Like you are amazing. You got this. Like, and I was already just all in deep with improv. And I started realizing freestyle is in battles. And oh my God, we cipher in a circle. And I love people watching me. Call it selfish, but I want people to watch me. You
Performer.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like I do. I want them to watch me. So ciphers were lit. And then I can't remember I remember my first time I went to drums and I knew like, what was it, Maria? Maybe it was Miss Burchin that got me in there. But I remember I was performing and I did the seams and like I knew three or four people when I walked in.
Wow.
And leaving, I felt like I knew everybody because I was this little girl, young. I was shy because at first when you like talk to me, like I even still to this day, like I still when I approach the bench, when they call my name and I'm approaching the bench, I call it approaching the bench. Um, I'm a little like how I am right now. Like it just happens. It breaks out. I'm like, okay, all right, word. And then the music plays. I close my eyes, transfer like an avatar tail, open my eyes, I'm in my avatar and I'm going.
Hmm.
So drums introduced to me showcase life
Hmm.
and
Interesting.
putting yourself in front of the lights. Cue the Joker from that I was comparing it to. Like he was dancing through this trauma and this pain. Like he needed the lights and people to watch him. And then I did another one, which was I always stuck to contemporary stories. I wanted to stand out. Still to this day, you asked me to showcase, I want to do a sad song because in this time and age, it's still uncomfortable to talk about.
Hmm.
So I make you uncomfortable. I'm gonna make you like I just recently did a little open floor at We Can't Stop, Won't Stop, which is like kind of Maria's new transition from the drums and you. And I did this very depressing song, and I love it. I love it when I see like the silence in the room
Right.
and the uncomfortability where some people are like this, like I catch it. So drums, the story of drums was when I did my first performance and I saw everybody just clap and stomp their feet and bang on the floor. I never got that. I
Wow.
was always in the back. I was always in the other dance, not in the winning dance. I was always in the studio earlier. Oh, Cheyenne's just improvising. Okay, like she's doing her weird stuff. Oh, Cheyenne's just doing her weird little improv. You don't have to watch. Oh, you don't have to like watch or anything. But like as I grew up, like throughout that time, I just wished and just wished like there's a place for me. There's a place where everyone's freestyling and smiling and laughing and sweating and feeling the rhythm. There's a place.
Wow.
And then
I get
I
emotional
found the
listening to this
place.
stuff. I had no
Yeah,
idea
I'm
that,
sorry.
that drums was your first. Wow, I
Yeah,
didn't know that House of Drums was your first like solo performance experience. That's
yeah,
wow, that's amazing.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
really
thank
cool.
you.
I really love how your journey is so it's not linear, and you
Yeah,
really do just like in your dance, you improv in your life, you
yeah.
something comes up and you make something out of it. You listen to
Hmm.
yourself, you listen to the
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
you're in a studio, and then the next portion of your life you are doing battles, and then the next portion of your
Yeah,
life you are, doing ciphers, and then another one is
yeah.
performing. But you're taking all of who you are and you're putting it into your art form, and I think that that's really something to look up to, and I hope that
Thank
anyone
you.
that watches it, especially young dancers, that what they grasp from our conversation is you are a product of your life, and the journey that you've essentially walked, and maybe not always willingly
Yeah,
either, right?
yeah, yeah.
And that's something
100.
that's hard for any artist is, you're going through tough times, but those times sometimes define what comes out,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, 100%.
That's beautiful.
100%. And currently, I want to also state about I'm a part of BC Davie campus.
Hmm.
I'm on my third piece or my third presentation. Sabrina, who's the director there, she found me as a guest choreographer because she saw some of my future pieces, my friends, and they're watching me dance. I performed. She's like, "Listen, do you create?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." Sees my work. She says, "I want you." And I have created quite a stamp with my productions that I put on. She gives you a 10-minute slot. I have done a Rocky theme to Dream On. I've Last year I did Interstellar Base, where I literally had these dancers go to the moon. Somebody dies, or did they? And it's like props. And now this year I'm doing a story called Jimmy, and it's about like just it's like opening books. And she's someone that says, "I will fund you. You
Hmm.
have all of this freedom. Go for it." 10-year-old Cheyenne would be crying if she was given that opportunity. So it's like all like I can't help but to say like there's a lot of dreams that have been coming true,
Right.
but unfortunately I'm very hard on myself and I never stop to smell the roses of that.
Right.
But I'm working on
I
it.
mean, that's a tough balance because at the same time, though,
Right,
I mean, like for example, performing.
right.
What makes a great performer is the desire to want to be seen. But the desire to want to be seen is because in life you're not seen. You don't feel seen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So to be hard on yourself is also to push yourself in such a way because of how maybe, yes, that's how you feel about yourself. And it may be negative,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it's also what makes you great at what you do because you're pushing yourself. So and that's a weird
Right.
relationship. And I never really I never like to tell anyone, including myself, that you shouldn't be hard on yourself. But as long as
Yeah.
you're aware of it, you know,
Yeah.
and then you can decide, you know what, I should push myself. In other moments, you know what, I just need a break, and
Right.
having that healthy relationship. But I think it's totally fine to push yourself and to be hard on yourself because you are your worst critic. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, at least you are internalizing and observing yourself. Not everybody
Yeah.
they do that within their art form.
Yeah. For sure. And keeping up with it too. I'm currently like training in classes, working on choreography, how to dance in a unit still.
Mm,
But I'm also that person that says, listen, give me the banjo, let me play, let me ride, like let me dance. So it definitely, like I said, it reminds me of the Joker. I got two different faces.
right,
I got that Joker phase where it's dark and ga ga ga, and then I got the other phase was like, yeah, I should probably push myself. Let's go.
right.
So, yeah, yes.
You have a dynamic journey, and I really do look forward to what else you're going to not just accomplish, but just where you go, because I think it's a really one thing I love about being a dancer. I mean, I could be a filmmaker and I could be an actor and I could do all sorts of things, but to come from like this root idea of being a dancer, I look at dance as this performance art that you learn not just so much about yourself, but you learn a lot about. Like the amount of professions that you've probably had to grab onto just so that you can
Hmm.
keep dancing, right? Like
Hmm.
all the skill sets that you learn, and
Yeah.
um, I, I, I'm curious, actually, not just curious, but what what is something in your journey or that you're hopeful that like I really hope to accomplish this or I really hope that I get to experience this, maybe it's something that you haven't done before.
Yeah. I just told my husband this maybe a month ago. I looked at him. I said, you need to help me. And he goes, what? What, honey? I said, Times Square, New
Hmm.
York City, 3 days, dance classes.
Wow.
Just let me dance in New York City. Let me take classes in New York City. And then I walk out and you see the taxis and you see the people and you see the chaos, maybe a little snow. But I want to go to New York. I
Right.
want to go to New York. And not even like get a gig in New York. Like, just let me take a class on steps on Broadway. I've been getting into Broadway recently,
Right.
and maybe for the past couple months, like since last year. But something I really want to accomplish is go to New York and take some classes. I've never been to New York. Well, I have. My husband's from New York. We went to
What
New
part is he
York City.
from?
He's from Poughkeepsie, so
Oh,
like northern New
okay.
York.
Okay, got it, got it, got it.
Yeah, so we went to Times Square one time, had a little feud, got lost, and went down into the subways, and that's it. Like I saw Toys R Us, and that was it.
Uh,
I remember it now.
hmm.
But looking online and media and scrolling, like I just want to see New York, and I want to be sweaty from a dance class with my dance bag and my puffy coat, and go get some coffee somewhere or something, like. I just want to experience New York. That's
That's really special that you I think it's really cool that when I ask what is something that you hope to do or accomplish, it's not like receiving anything. It's just experiencing something and I love that about
yeah.
you. I love that your journey and your craft is wrapped up with experiences and it's not about the accolades and it's not about the achievements and those things come and they go, but at the end the things that you talk most proud about is the
That's
experience.
what made me cry. Yeah. 100%, Ugh.
If you could just like in closing into our conversation, um what's I don't want to say the why, but what's the thing? What's the thing that keeps Shy creating? Keeps Shy telling stories?
Uh, uh, what keeps uh, I'm gonna cry again. I'm sorry. So I have an audition video when I was 11 because I auditioned for America's Got Talent. And they asked me the same question, and I have the same answer. And it's to never give up and don't stop believing. But in additional to that, dance is now it's my bloodline. It's my bloodline. It's my lifeline. It's something that will never leave me. It's not God, but it's in my veins. It's in the grocery store, it's in the car, it's in the bank, it's in the doctor's office, it's in my dentist, it's in the Chinese restaurant, it's in the wing place, it's in the casino. It's it's in an open field when you have no music on. There's music. It's like August Rush where he just hears it and he feels it and he does it. And, you'd think I'd say, oh, my husband, or oh, my daughter's my reason. Well, she's my reason now, but my reason is just, I couldn't say just anything besides it's in my blood. And I have so much more stories and maybe some things that certain people need to see.
Hmm.
Maybe like I did recently do a dance that was something that I just hope my dad would see somewhere
Hmm.
because it's like a message for you.
Right.
So there's like three different ways. My daughter, I got so much more to say. You can't stop me. And never give up. Never, it's good because life is going to want to stop you, like having a C-section,
Right.
but you can't let that stop you.
Right.
It's still in my knees. It's in my toes. It's in my fingers. It's in my ears. My brain is just music. I mean, listen, when I messaged you the other day about you doing a piece to a Moana song, you did a little showcase, but I listen to Disney every day. So I'm out sessioning with my friends Monday night and they're all dancing to like dance music. I'm like, guys, can I do like Elsa?
Right.
And they'll be like, yeah, go. And they do it. And they're like, what? Like, so any music, anything, music is just there and it's never gonna leave. Dance is never gonna leave me or forsake me. and it's in my blood at this point. And now my daughter just started her first ballet class
Oh
on
gosh,
Saturday.
tears, tears, done, done.
So listen, like I swear my life could be a Broadway show. Don't get me started on my fairy tale wedding. Okay, that I can't believe is like still here and it happened. And I was just a girl like Harry Potter where I thought I was never gonna find anybody. And I thought I was never gonna have a friend.
Mm,
And now growing up and raising my daughter, she'll never feel that.
right.
You know, she'll never feel the things that are preventable. She'll
Mm,
never feel her father's back turned. She'll never feel unsafe in a family home. And yeah, so what keeps me going is to just never give up.
mm.
And this is my purpose, my kid, and so many stories I can just tell freely, openly, without telling.
Beautiful. I always say,
Yeah.
I always say that dance, it's the one thing that reminds me that I'm human,
Yeah.
that like it's okay to feel, it's okay to not know, and
Yeah.
step into a circle and be like, I don't really know this song, and I'm gonna explore and
I'm
see,
going anyway.
learn a new
Hold on.
language. And I think so
Hmm.
much of what we learn as dancers is the just the simple reminder that like it's okay to be human. It's
Yeah.
okay, you know.
It's okay to have these feelings. And it's okay to I told my students this today in my rehearsal. I said, it's okay to let go.
Right.
It's okay. And these are 14-year-olds,
Mm.
and certain teachers would put that faith in me, but other teachers would also just walk right past me. But yeah, dance, it's okay to let go. It's okay to look like a fool. And I don't care that I look like a fool. At least when I'm showcasing, I don't care that I look like a fool. If I'm in class and it's like I gotta kind of fix up and okay, that does look like a little fool. But
Right.
when I'm showcasing, battling, you see something and it's improv, you'll know it's improv, but you'll also be like, wow, this was rehearsed. But it
Hmm.
wasn't rehearsed because I'm just playing the music in my head
Right.
and I'm seeing it and I make it come out.
Right. No, I
Yeah.
mean you're truly an individual that can live in a moment, experience a moment, and also share a moment with people. And that's a
Thank
rare
you.
ability to be able to showcase and to share. But also, I think it's also a crazy superpower to have because so much of life and art is trying to create something, right? Like, I gotta make something. And the art form that you propose to the world is I'm just doing. And in just
Hmm.
doing, I'm creating something and people feel something. And that's beautiful. And I hope more people get to experience your work and
Thank you.
you have to offer to the world. So I
Yeah,
I
thank
love you,
you.
girl. I appreciate you making time to chat. This was really
I
great.
know. I'm so happy we did this.
Yeah,
It's
we're just gonna
it's
have to
it's
do another project soon. That's all.
Yeah, you got to tell me when you're down here or up here or down here.
Yeah,
Tell me when
down
you're
here.
back from Florida, please.
Yeah, I think
Please.
the next time I'm down, I think is summertime, which scares me because it's gonna be hot to film.
Oh,
So, but we'll
it's
figure it
never
out.
too hot. It's never too
Never
hot.
thought. I know.
It's
Well,
never too.
now living in Georgia, I got the Four Seasons again, and it's freaking me out.
Oh, and those babies are gonna see those 4 seasons, and that's amazing. But yeah, thank you so so much for this. And this is my first time where someone's actually been so kind of interested in knowing so much more. And I feel like a lot of people want to know more
Mm,
and like what I do.
right.
Like how does she think that? And of course, yet again, you have another core memory for me, which is this whole process and the acting and it grew it sprouted something new on me because now wherever I go, I can say, listen, Brendan's out here improving acting skits and vlogging and having this whole amazing life with two babies and a wife. And I can do that. I can start extending out into being a comedian because I'm funny and um acting as well. Like, I'm terrified in front of a camera. I used to do it and I used to have a mic and when I was 12 and this whole thing, but like I can't do it. And I can sing, but I can't do it. But like watching your journey is like I said, you sprouted something on my little shoulder, and I'm like, all right, I want to water that. I want to
Well,
try to see if I can be in touch with the acting skill more than grabbing a story. What if I could just act a story?
right.
So yeah,
I
I
mean,
I thank you for that.
that is a rabbit hole to talk about, and
Yeah.
I'll leave you with this. Everything that I do begins with dance. My creative process begins with dance, and maybe not
Yeah.
necessarily an actual physical movement of dance,
Hmm.
but like improv for me is just like freestyle
Breathing.
dance.
Yeah.
Same
Breathing.
concept. Like if I go into a scene, it's just like I don't know the song. I don't know what the DJ is gonna play. I don't know what the prompt of this improv is going to be. So then you get it and you listen and then you just react and then you do. And
Hmm.
I look at
Hmm.
acting the same way. Just like you have, there's Cheyenne Keller and then there's Shy.
Right.
Those are two different people, and you know how to tap into one and the other. But to me,
Hmm.
that's dancing, but dancing is acting to me. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm Shade, but then I'm Brendan, and I know how to go back and forth to the
Right.
characters.
Right.
Essentially, that's what acting is, you know. And I think
Yeah.
I think for anyone that's going into any art form, I think dance is like the best thing to start with because you learn so
Yeah.
many skills and so many cultures and the people that you bump into. So absolutely
Yeah.
agree with you 100%. And I'm excited to
Yeah.
see where your journey takes you. And I'm also excited to know that I don't know, and that's gonna be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. New York, New York, New York, New York. I just want to go to New York.
So,
But yeah,
all right,
thank
girl.
you.
I love you. I'm gonna stop record here and then we can keep chatting. Okay? Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, totally.